Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today we're finally going to talk about the Carlee Russell case. And the reason that we're talking about this now, rather than as it was breaking, is that I was hoping for a resolution to this case, and now it appears we have finally got that resolution. Carlee Russell has been found guilty of staging her own kidnapping, which is the most obvious thing humanly possible because she's already admitted, essentially, to staging her own kidnapping. However, the media has decided to go with a bit of a different angle on this. They've decided to go with a bit of a different spin. The issue is now no longer this woman lying about her own kidnapping and admitting that she lied about her own kidnapping, and thus being found guilty of lying about her own kidnapping. The issue happens to be, and this may be surprising for absolutely none of you, that you're an evil white racist. You're full of evil white racism, and the reason you are concerned with this case is, guess what? Your evil white racism. Now, we're going to get into this. We're going to explain how crazy this actually is. But before we do, I want to say thank you to everybody who signed up over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform. Now, if you guys will remember, this story gained national attention because we had a 911 call from Carlee Russell about her spotting a toddler walking on the highway. Now, she ended up getting out of this car, and eventually this ultimately led to her kidnapping, where, of course, she was supposedly held for 2 days by kidnappers. If you don't recall the 911 call, I will play an excerpt for you right here.
911, where's your emergency?
Hi, I am on Interstate 459, and there is a kid just walking by themselves.
Oh, hold on. Where on 459 are you?
I'm right next to the exit 10 by the Hoover Met, like to get off by the Hoover Met.
Okay, so you're before that exit?
Yes.
Okay, and were you headed southbound or northbound? Like toward Tuscaloosa or toward 280?
Toward Tuscaloosa.
Okay, and was the child on the left or right side?
On the right side.
Were they walking northbound or southbound?
They're walking toward Tuscaloosa.
Walking southbound? Or how old do they look?
Like a toddler, maybe 3 or 4.
Now, Russell's disappearance immediately got national media attention, and there were a number of factors behind it. One of the ones that is a race-neutral factor is the fact that her 911 call was incredibly curious, incredibly odd, and it drew a lot of attention. Who was this missing child? And then all of a sudden, we would find out later that supposedly she was blindfolded by a man who emerged from the woods, stripped and held in captivity for 2 days until she was able to escape and wound up in the woods by her house. All of this was quite compelling to the national press, but also, as you guys may notice from the photos, she was a black woman. If you guys will remember, there was the story of the Instagram, vlog your travel life girl that went viral, and this was largely due to the fact, according to the left-wing media, that it was a white girl. So all of a sudden, there was this pressure for the national media to take up missing black woman story, and this one filled that particular niche. So you had the mystery, the intrigue, what compelled people in the online true crime community to get on board with this case. You have the weird 911 call.
Did you talk to the child at all, or did you say anything to them?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do they look like they're injured?
No, they don't.
Are they white, black, Hispanic, or Asian?
They're white.
Okay. Is it male or female?
I think it's a boy, a little boy.
White male? Okay. Is he wearing clothes?
Yes.
And you also had the politically correct implications, this overcorrection that we see in many areas of our life that got people to focus on this case. And by the way, to be clear, kidnappings are quite serious. We should at least have regional covering of kidnappings because people tend to be moved across state lines. It is, in fact, a federal issue, and it helps lead to potentially arresting a kidnapper, and I'm all on board for that. Got nothing against it, and I want to make that abundantly clear as we progress through this story. However, Russell's story started to fall apart almost immediately. First and foremost, if you guys will recall, in that 911 call, she references a toddler that was on the road. This was a very busy highway. No other person reported seeing that toddler. And also, we had an issue with the location data on her phone that was not matching what she described to 911 operators. On top of that, she ended up having some very questionable searches prior to her disappearance that we need to discuss. So 2 days before Russell went missing, she actually searched if you would have to pay for an Amber Alert. Now, we all know now, based on the state of California passing a law to do their own thing, that Amber Alerts are actually evil white racism, and we need Ebony Alerts because, of course, Amber Alerts are evil white racism. However, she also searched for local bus tickets as well as information on the abduction-based movie Taken. Now, it was revealed through the investigation that she was actually seen on surveillance cameras stealing a dark bathrobe and toilet paper from the Woodhouse spa where she worked. She also bought Cheez-Its and granola bars from Target that detective believes she took with her when she vanished. Her iPhone, her wig, and her Apple Watch were all found in the car, along with takeout food she had ordered from a restaurant near her work. Now, as I said, with the location data, it turned out she drove 600 yards, which is the length of 6 football fields, while on the phone with 911, while she was claiming to be looking for a baby boy or looking at a baby boy on the side of the road. Another search that was suspicious on the day of her disappearance was her Google search, which was how to take money from a cash register without getting caught. She also searched for a one-way bus ticket from Birmingham to Nashville. Now, clearly and obviously, based on this overwhelming evidence and her eventual admission of not seeing a boy and not being kidnapped, this was fake. This did not happen. The evidence was absolutely clear. One of the things that's incredibly suspicious is the fact that her Apple Watch was left in the car. Typically, you're wearing that on your wrist. It's not like something you would leave in your car like your phone in a situation like this. And the snacks that she had purchased were taken with her.
Russell is accused of faking her own kidnapping earlier this year, at one point saying that she was kept by a man and a woman for a full day before she escaped and returned home. After several days of investigating, police decided to charge her with 2 misdemeanors.
Now look, on its own, this story should be pretty simple. A woman told a lie, the lie got completely out of hand, the police ended up finding out about the lie, and they, by the way, were actually treating her with kid gloves because a lot of people were unsure if this lie could be attributed to some kind of underlying mental illness or it was done maliciously for attention. But point being, she was caught red-handed and eventually she was charged with 2 misdemeanors. Now, she did some weird thing to jump straight to the appeal when she decided to go to court.
Yeah, what happened today is called a stipulated appeal. So the defense decided to forego this municipal trial and skip directly to the appeal up to the circuit court. Now, our cameras were here several hours ago and caught images of Carlee Russell entering Hoover Municipal Court with her family. The whole procedure relatively quick once things got started. During that procedure, Carlee had to stand in front of the judge and enter a plea. She pleaded not guilty to lying to police and falsely reporting an incident. Those are the only 2 words she said, not guilty. She was wringing her hands behind her back the entire time, clearly very nervous.
Where she was found guilty for the purposes of filing an appeal. It's a weird thing. I haven't heard of it. I don't think it's too common, but whatever, the case should be closed right there. However, people look at this case and they invested a lot into the narrative that we have to save black women, that black women don't get national attention. So for some reason, when you look at the story, when you look into it, what you end up finding is people being angry at white people for their evil white racism, for disbelieving black women, and saying that just because this woman lied doesn't mean you're not an evil white racist. And that's what headline after headline are all about. You have a bunch of left-wing figures like Charlemagne the God, Jamel Hill, all of these people saying, oh, you're so outraged about this case only because she's a black woman, even though she told an elaborate lie. It got the national media coverage that these people said black women never get, and she turned out to be perfectly fine. And then the criminal justice system charged her with only misdemeanors. She was convicted, possibly to go to jail for a year, and now they're still talking about evil white racism. Again, white people had virtually nothing to do with this story. Nothing about this involved evil white racism or anything like that. The only thing that is probably attributed to race is the fact that people highlighted this story in particular, pretended that nobody else was covering it, pretended that it wasn't a national news story, so then it blew up based on that, like, reverse psychology on the media, and then it got outsized attention, even though it turned out to be a hoax. Now, I don't know what the underlying reason behind this was, or anything like that. I think the conviction is not only logical because she basically admitted guilt, but sensible, but I don't know what the appropriate sentence is for a thing where you end up getting national media attention because you said you saw a lost toddler on the road, and then you got kidnapped by an evil white racist pickup truck, or 18-wheeler truck driver who came out of the woods with a blindfold and somehow loaded you up onto an 18-wheeler without anybody seeing anything. For me, her being convicted, us knowing about this story, us being able to look in the face of all the race hustlers who tried to blow this up, who tried to attack people in the week, which showed that obviously she was guilty of staging this, is good enough. Her serving 6 months to a year, which by the way is her potential sentence, is good enough. And honestly, I don't even really need her to serve that full length of time. Just having the conviction, knowing that this person did this, would be fine for me to close the book on it so we can move on to other kidnapping victims. The irony of this is that as the left wing ends up attacking people who noticed that this was a hoax, noticed that they overplayed their hand, is that we're not focusing on the people who go missing each and every day. They should just take the L with dignity. However, they never do. And now we're hearing about how this woman somehow is the victim of racism because she's being punished for a crime that she admitted to committing. Now look, I've made my thoughts pretty clear on this particular case, but I want to open up the floor to all of you. Was Carlee Russell somebody who did something so noble for black women across the country getting national news coverage, or is she a hoaxer due to either mental illness or due to crying out for attention? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the Carlee Russell case and still this absurd racially divisive conversation around it. Till next time.